One. Ralphie, welcome. It's Brad from Promotion.
Hey, Brad, how are you?
I'm a fan. You know that I'm a fan. I know you
And I'm a fan myself, right back at you.
I know you for a lot of years, and what better time than to just have a chat with you about um, your experience in the music business, your success, which is of Herculean proportion, your method, um, and your life.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. I've known you for
A lot.
probably closer to 30 years. And you and I have done a lot of remixes together. So let me talk to you a little bit about remixes. A lot of people that are going to be watching this on promotionmusicnews.com know of you.
Yes.
They certainly know of your work. I don't know if they know really what you look like any more than they may know what I look like. Maybe that's better that they don't know what I look like.
I always say, yeah, I'd say the same thing.
So sort of it's the man behind the successes. So my first question for you is, who do you admire in the remix production business?
Who do I admire? Oh my God. I have to say people like the Shapeshifters. You got a producer, DJ James Herr in the UK as well. And I'm also a fan of, there's so many people. Roger Sanchez is another guy that's still doing his thing. And also actually Chus and Sabalos are also at the top of my list as well. They're great guys. A lot of those guys keep true to form in what they're doing and how they're performing and playing and how they're remixing. And I have a lot of respect for that.
One of the things that I've always admired about you, and not blowing smoke because you know it's true, is that you are inordinately discerning about the projects you take on to remix. I would venture to say that of all the records that you and I have done together, you have probably passed on at least 50% of the music that I've given you to consider. And I love it. I love it because I'm in this business because of passion. You're in this business because of passion. Neither of us ever want to disappoint. We want to keep our level of quality and expectations in check.
Yes, absolutely. Quality more than anything for me.
Talk to me a little bit about what impresses you most and what you look for in music that is presented to you for remixing.
First and foremost, a lot of us in this field always have to pay attention to the song. The song says everything. If I am singing the hook even before I get started working, then there's something there. If I like to keep the integrity of the song, I like to reinvent the wheel with it, but at the same time, keep the integrity of the song, keep the song intact. If there's a message there, all those great elements that make up a song, they have to be intact when I'm attacking it as a remix. Then I can actually make it and take it a step further than what it was presented to me in the first place. But integrity more than anything, and making sure the song is intact before I get started. There's been instances where, the verses are great, the performance is great, but it just needed that chorus needed an extra lift or a bump or an edge. And when I added what I needed to do to it, it brought it tenfold to the next level. And that's what I'm trying to do, is bring it to the next level than what was presented initially to me.
So a lot of what we're talking basically about is the quality of a vocal as well.
The quality of the vocal, but not also Brad, more than ever, the quality of the song. The song itself, there's got to be something there. I mean, there's so many people doing remixes out there on songs that really don't stick to the wall, I call it. If it doesn't stick to the wall as I'm working with it, it's not going anywhere.
So if we look at a song like a portrait,
right?
We have the composition.
Yep.
We have the color, which is the melody, and we have the frame, which I would call the remix.
It's like that picture that you might have in your office or maybe in my office that you could still pass by and look at it and say, wow, that's a great picture.
Right. Right.
You could see those colors. Just think the same thing is with a lot of songs. You could still play them today, and you could still appreciate it. It's like a piece of art on the wall, except this one's for the ears.
Absolutely. And with technology,
Yeah.
i.e., the box that you and I are talking on right now, music is no longer a one-dimensional form.
Yes, that is true. That is very true.
So, interesting thing. The records that we've done together have walked the line between classic disco to house.
Yep.
To even alternative pop. And when I say that and you laugh, you know the project.
I don't know. Could it be something about Rob Thomas?
It could be something about Rob Thomas. That's correct. And Matchbox 20.
Yeah, actually, yeah. When you put me up against the wall with it, I wasn't sure, but then it's like, you know.
Right. So for those people that are watching this interview, here's the story. I get called by Rob and his manager, and we've done a lot of Matchbox 20 records over the years. And I remember it's the first year that my company is actually marketing the Amsterdam dance event to the United States. And that year I went over, I get a call and an email while I'm in Amsterdam. They're looking for a remix on a Matchbox 20. And the first thing I think is, I have to give it to Rosario. I mean, the guy's batting fourth on my lineup, you know.
Yeah,
so I contact
Rosario,
you, and I'm so
a remixer. He's awesome with this.
And I'm so excited to get you involved.
Yeah.
I call you, I say, Ralphie, I want you to listen to the track. Call me as soon as you hear it. You call me and you say,
no.
Now this, by the way, I have to tell you this after the fact. This was after I had already committed you to the project, to the manager.
Okay. Oh,
I don't think I ever told you this.
Yeah, so you spoke before.
It is one of the few times that I did, and I learned my lesson. However, it ended well because I say to you, why not? And you say to me, basically, it's not in your wheelhouse of the kinds of records you do.
We did two, didn't we?
It was the first one that was, you know, the shall I say, the challenging one, because you didn't want to do it. Right. And I say, well, you know, if we're talking about a wheelhouse or a comfort zone, what's the comfort zone? And what I got from you was, you know, it's really alternative, it's pop, it's not, you know, you're not comfortable.
Well, and that scared me more than anything was maybe it's because it was just too pop driven, and that can be a little bit scary because I don't want to disappoint the artist and I don't want to disappoint you. Okay. Right. So if you're standing behind what I'm doing when I initially send you the project that I'm working on, and that's why I need to hear your feedback as I'm going through it, because if I don't want to be in a direction where I feel like, yeah, it's good, but you know, I'm not sure. I need to get feedback. I need to know what you hear and what you don't like and all that other stuff, because that goes a long way with me as I'm sitting here behind the console.
And you know, I'm one of the tougher ones. Absolutely.
You?
So, but it's about my concern for my quality as much as your concern for your quality. Yeah. And you used a very interesting word, Ralphie, which is disappoint.
Right.
And, you know, we live in a very sort of fast food, fast music, fast everything. Maybe quality is not as important to others as it may be to me. It may be, I'm not sure. All I know is it's very important that anything that my company represents and anything that my company is involved with in getting other people like yourself involved is up to a certain standard. That I'm sorry to say that America has basically now clawed its way to mediocrity, and maybe it's because of your age and my age. I think I'm slightly older than you. I'm not really sure, but we were raised in a different time. And a lot of that time reflects quality, integrity, looking at the long game, looking at the 26-mile marathon, not the 200-yard sprint. Right. So anyway, just to wrap that story up, and I say to you, you can do this.
Yeah.
I know you can do this.
Yeah.
And you seem to be a little bit open to it, somewhat resistant as well. And then I think we also brought in Craig Snyder, another huge programmer. you know,
Just
a
about to
major part of
dive
our family.
because he was the one who opened the possibility creatively for this to come together. And as one of my programmers, he's and also one of my best friends. When Craig started playing the guitar, the idea that I had against the track, and when he started doing it, all of a sudden it just started to feel so good. And then I started to feel happy because I finally found a direction to take this. It feels pretty good about it. It was not about bringing in every single drum loop you could possibly find. And it's not about making this rock and roll band into a tribal act. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about what can you do with all these wonderful musical elements in front of you, whether they're the original stems and production of the song or Rob's voice or the backgrounds or the guitars they gave you. I want to marry those elements together somehow because in production, that's my world. That's my life.
So we're talking about bending a composition instead of breaking it and try to fitting it in a format that doesn't really respect the original
It's like
version.
taking that, what do you call them? Those little blocks the kids are trying to put the triangle into the square or the circle or something, no. It's got to flow and it's got to feel good. And if I'm not singing that chorus by the end of that recording session, I haven't done my job.
So I'll tell you now that before I approached you the second time on that single when you had said no originally, did I tell you now that I called Craig on the other line before I contacted you?
Yeah.
Because I know Craig well, and he's an incredible programmer. He's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Right.
And I say to Craig, listen, I need Ralphie on this record. Can you help me help him get this done? He said, yeah, leave it with me.
Oh, yeah.
And it worked, and that's what it worked. So the idea is step out of our comfort zone, reinvent ourselves.
I wish a lot of people out there, producers, DJs, would think in that same context.
It's not even them, Ralphie. I think the human condition in general, humans don't like change. It's difficult for us.
It is, but look, we're all up against the wall right now, aren't we?
Well, this begs the next question.
Yeah.
How long have you been in this business?
Too long. I'd have to say probably over 3, going into 4 decades. So you're talking about 30 years plus.
And what's the transition? Started?
You mean starting out or like when I started this thing? Well,
DJ.
It's like I told a lot of people, it was just a hobby. It was just for fun. Disco in 1979 was just like at the top of the music world. It was awesome. There was some great music coming out. It's still timeless to this day. I still love listening to it to this day. I mean, now we can manipulate it remix-wise, like Eric did for Diana Ross and The Boss, and maybe the LP that's coming out on that too. The integrity and these songs are just timeless. And for me, that kind of crossed over throughout the decades. There were still great club tracks, still great songs, still things that were crossing over. Remember the days that we would get a promo in the mail? Madonna was the first thing I was going to tell you about. So check this out. Something like Borderline, right? We get it in the record pool. It sat for 6 months, 8 months, right? Then I think another song came out, and then that popped, and that was huge. So guess what? We all went back to 6 months later when we had that Madonna record sitting underneath our record crate.
I believe the second record was Physical Attraction.
Yeah. So it's like, and it was like a lot of it was dead in water, like and then like a Holiday came out or something, and they're like, what? Who is she? What is that? Do I have that? I know I saw that in my record crate. Where is that?
So the transition for you was probably music fan,
yes,
not interested in being in the business.
I love dancing, music fan.
DJing,
yep,
to remixing,
well, producing then remixing,
artist,
right,
production company.
Well, I was producing my own tracks first,
right.
And that's how that crossed into the remixing realm when I had my own things. 1987 being the release of You Used to Hold Me, which I told people that defected when we were doing an interview that I had no faith in that song. None. No faith in that song because everybody was doing great sample tracks and jack this, jack that, and using all kinds of trickery with samples and wording and nothing, but there's no songs. There was no house songs. So, Cynthia Baker, aka Xavier Gold, was a great writer, way beyond her, ahead of her time, I should say. And she wanted to be a DJ. And when I heard her sing, I'm like, no, you're gonna sing. You're not gonna DJ. You should be singing. So we decided to collaborate on something. And when it was done, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure.
So
but then everybody else decided that fate, not me.
So we talked about, a hit's a hit's a hit, basically. Once a hit, always a hit if it's done properly.
Right.
And speaking of that, there's been a tremendous resurgence, particularly over the last couple of years, with classic records remixed, full integrity of the vocal, by major artists.
Right.
I know we did, several Diana Ross records. They did quite well. And right now, we've just retained your services to remix the Gloria Estefan Rhythm Is Gonna Get You for 2020.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that, because you've worked with Gloria in the past.
As far as the remixing game was concerned, I got my start with her. Frank Sorello had taken a chance on me, and also taking a chance on Roosevelt at the same time. And when we were taking that chance, Party Time was the first song, actually, of Gloria's that we did. And when I did Party Time, didn't expect much, but Frank Sorello totally believed in it. And I was just sharpening my production chops. I was getting those knives and forks and spoons ready, and it did well. And he was liking what was going on, so the relationship continued. And working for Gloria has been a godsend. She appreciates everything that we've been doing, everything I've been doing for her. Emilio equally is the same. I admire the man. I admire him.
They have created quite the empire. We're thrilled to be involved. We're thrilled to have you involved. Frank Sorello has put this collaboration together along with Frank Amadeo. So I'm just going to end this interview by asking you, besides music, what are your favorite hobbies, things to do, loves?
I'm a tech person. So anything that involves technology and or music or visuals, I'm all over that stuff. And since we have been to this point where we're doing our cameras and Zooms and all this stuff and the live streaming, it's been an interesting thing, because even though we may be quarantined and stuck inside the house, there's still so much joy to give people through music. And that's exactly what I do not want to stop doing. I think I told you before, if I had to stop doing music, I would be dead. I'd be dead. So, and like Frankie Knuckles said, if that one thing is the thing that saves your life, that's the one thing that you should concentrate on. And
well,
that's
I am profoundly grateful to know you.
Yeah.
I'm profoundly grateful to be in this business.
Same here.
I'm profoundly grateful for learning something new on a regular basis. I can't be the same guy this year that I was last year.
Goes with me too.
I can't do it. I know you're an animal lover, so am I.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say, Ralphie, I just wish you a tremendous success.
Thank you.
You're a good man. You're a stand-up guy. You're a guy who deserves the respect. You command the respect. And I am honored to stand with you. I love you, brother.
My friend, thank you very much. Right back to you.
God bless you. Have a good day. And by the way, you better get cracking on that Gloria.
I was starting
right now. See ya.
Bye.